Hey y'all. Y'all are just having like full-blown lore drops in the background. I feel like there's enough that I can't easily scroll back and check it out, but I'm glad that you guys are hanging out. Hello Nico, thank you for joining. Yeah. Just in time, need to come late. Fyra, I will fight you. So, yes. This is gonna be a little bit of a shorter stream. Just by oh, yes, okay. Did you finish eating? Did you do a good eat? Come here, Bobby. So good eat, Miss Fern. Bobby princess. It's alright, I got my screenshot, Nico. That was all that mattered. All right, and you were sitting on the tablet. That's great. Okay. Yes, so. Thank you, Dennis. And Fern probably also says thank you. Yes, so I'm gonna go till about 7 today. And I was thinking about doing some like fan art stuff still. Wait, some work stuff still. However, I had an idea for a fan art thing that I was like, maybe I can do it as like a not super long drawing. Because that's never been a thing. So I was like, I feel like I kind of want to like not tell you what it's fan art of, because I feel like once I get going, it'll be like pretty obvious what it is. So to see like if you guys can like guess what it is related to something pretty like recent that came out. It is horror related. Yes. It was some again, I'm like, I feel like either I can give you like, no, Fyra, stop it. You're wrong. That's not what it is. Also, don't guess yet. I haven't even started. So yes, I am just going to format my references here, but I do not want you to see them. So, partially because some of it is a little quiet mound. Maybe, I don't know. But yes, hold tight while I format my references. Here's Fern. But yes, I definitely want to like talk about this because it was visited the corgi yesterday. I'm glad to hear that, Dylan. That sounds like an excellent thing to do. Is it? Okay. Oh man. Yes, fine. Am I getting kisses? Am I getting the puppy kisses? We have Silent Hill at home. I mean, we kind of do in the way of like, you know, the fact that it's a remake. But no, we don't. No, we don't. They got rid of all the files and made the people who did the remaster completely program it from the ground up. Konami. Miss Fern, Miss Fern. She weighs around, she's like 5-6 pounds, so she is quite a small dog. She's 80% fur. That might be generous, but she is still quite a small animal, yes. Okay. I mean, she's small enough to fit on a desk, so. Okay. Definition of just a little guy. She is the most little guy TM. Hey, friend. Are you the little boy? Just a little puppy. Okay, actually, I'm going to put this small and easy to draw. Yeah, Big Smith did a fern drawing yesterday on his stream, and I was very appreciative of it. So, okay, so let's put this away so you cannot see that anymore. Okay. Switch it over. Okay. as I said, in theory, uh, I mean, I guess even like a 3-hour drawing is a little bit like, it's kind of optimistic, but you know what? I'm gonna stand by it. Jaws, hi! Hey, friends, like, who? What? What's happening? Welcome to the stream for the first time. Okay, Miss Friend. I have like a general idea for it. Also, if you guys can guess what it is, like what thing it is from that I'm drawing, then I can tag the stream with that, which might be kind of helpful. But also no pressure. Yeah, I know, my sweet and darling girl. My sweet and darling puppy. Friends, like, who are you talking to like that? Oh, it's a pot. I wasn't sure if that was like a frog emoticon or what. Okay. Hello, everyone. Are you not on Instagram anymore? That is understandable. But also, my feed is not the best. I mean, I take some responsibility because I fucked up my own algorithm like 2 years ago. Yeah, okay. I mean, probably a good idea. She is my precious. Okay, so. So I debated whether I should like put a mature warning on this because, as I said, it is from something horror genre. So I'm not going to be doing anything too graphic, but there will be like implied blood, I guess, since I was gonna say I'm possibly a fetus. But as I said, you guys don't get to see my reference of a fetus. And again, I don't think it's going to be extremely detailed, so yes. Oh my god. Yeah. But this is from a thing that I recently watched slash consumed. And I expected I would like it, but I did really like Boss Baby 2. Wasn't there already a Boss Baby 2? Oh, yes. Yeah, do you guys want a hint, like, what kind of media it's from? Because as I said, I feel like if you know what it is, you'll be able to, like, guess the character pretty fast. It's like I don't know what screen is better to put my reference on for just quickly glancing over. Now you're over here. Okay. Thank you. Okay, that is true, Big Smith. Yes, people who are not Big Smith. Would you like me to tell you what media it is from? Like what kind of thing it is from? Okay. I don't have to. As I said, I feel like it's something where if you know what it is, you will be able to tell pretty quickly. And if you are not familiar with it, then somebody saying the name is probably not going to mean anything. So, but I will say that it is something that has been kind of like popular on YouTube recently. So it's not like a super, super niche thing. I don't know if that gives you any sort of you know, as I said, I can talk more about my opinion on the thing once somebody guesses what it is, but I'm actually like, Squirrel, don't judge me. I generally consider the jawline to be a place that if it is looking weird, then it'll make the entire face look off. So yes, sometimes it takes a few tries to get it. Look, I'm doing it again. Hey, puppy girl, you wanna go down? Where you wanna go? Ready? Okay, say bye, puppy princess. Oi, 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 oi. Oh, there you go. She is wearing a suit of some kind. This might not be super helpful in the guessing what it's from, but this character themselves is kind of dressed in a way that is like a reference to something else. But again, I feel like it is she is still recognizable enough in the thing that she's from. So she does not. She has like little like kind of like little just shorter bits. She's rocking a pretty cool like shag haircut. It's not Resident Evil. Also, Big Smithy just guessing horror games now. You only know horror games. Well, to give you guys a little, yeah, here's a little hint. She is from a horror video game. Hello, Conlock. Welcome aboard. Yes, this game has a pretty small cast of characters. So she's not the main character, but she's one of like 5 or 6 characters, so. Not evil with it. She's wearing Ward's hat. She was wearing like a party hat. And I'm trying to remember, somebody was talking about this game and asking me. It hath been saved. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was last stream or like maybe like a couple, like last week. But it was something that somebody was asking me if I had played or watched, and I said no, and now I have. Excuse me. It is not a movie, it is a game, and it is pretty recent. It is not Scarlet Hollow. I will say that this character has rather been through it. Maybe not the worst out of everybody in the story, but she definitely is not having a good time. Seen some shit, yeah, she has. It's not tormented souls, no. Yes, to be released. Yeah, you got it, Fyra. Hold on. I think I just paused my music. 1 second. Come back here, music. I got too excited, clearly. Yeah, it is Anya from Mouthwashing. So let me see if I can show you not all of my reference photos. Hold on. So now I can show you my little teeny tiny references. So I guess some pixelated blood. Yeah, so this is Anya. As you can see, she does not have mutton chops. But yeah, so I would say Seeker's Scroll. So first of all, disclaimer, I watch just be like, I'm just not sure if that's gonna get me in trouble, so there you go. This is Anya, and she is the lone female crew member on a like the final route of a like delivery, like a space delivery freight company. And the other character that I mentioned, she is like very closely based off of, just like aesthetically, is in The Shining at the beginning. Shelley Duvall's character is wearing a very similar outfit with the like, oh my god, it's not a bodysuit, the onesie. Yeah, so she basically is like, if somebody had guessed like her character from The Shining, technically, you know, but yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, as I said, I can't remember who it was who was asking me about it slash like recommended it to me. I don't know if it was Wheeljack maybe. But I'm presuming it was not anybody who's currently in chat. No shade. Because as I said, I feel like it's one of those things that if you know what it is, then you're going to be like, oh yeah, you know, because it's a very like, I'd say that all the characters in the game are pretty like memorable looking. But if you are not familiar with the game, then you're going to be like, I don't know what the heck is this. But yeah, I watched like probably like a 3-hour walkthrough of it, and then watched a bunch of like explain slash like lore videos for it. But yeah, I would recommend it. I feel like it is kind of one of those stories where it's like it is probably better to go into it knowing less about the story, but the very, I guess, basic kind of premise is that as I said, they're in a crew of about 5 people on this freighter delivery vessel traveling through space, who's going to be out in space for 18 months, and they're about halfway through when their captain, for some reason that is not explained for a long time into the story, basically forces the craft to crash into an asteroid, and they fall to a nearby planet and are stranded, and they are just kind of like biding their time. And you might recognize the state of the captain, because I feel like he is kind of like the most evocative image from this game. He's like the guy who's like kind of like no skin, all bandaged up. He has a really big like eye. And as disconcerting as he is, I would definitely say that he is not the most upsetting story piece in it, if I can say that. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I really liked the art style in it. I think it kind of subverts some expectations in a way that was pretty satisfying with a few different characters. So, yeah. I'm not sure if anybody else has watched or played it, but yes. Yeah, well, and it's because it's like an indie game. As I said, I believe I watched probably like a 2.5, 3-hour video of the entire playthrough that I feel like was pretty. It was a good exploration. Yeah, as I said, she has not the most fun time on this Stranding. Actually, hold on. I will link the YouTube video that I watched for the playthrough, because this is somebody that I actually watched for quite a few horror walkthroughs. I just like kind of his approach to it. So hold on. New friend? Friend's like, what? So yes. that is the video that I watched and I enjoyed. As I said, I watched this YouTuber for a lot of my, I guess, like, playthrough things for horror games, because he does a lot of kind of like, he does some more like popular games, but he also does a decent amount of like more indie, like, I don't want to say random games, just not like as popular indie games that are still like interesting to watch. And just also, I feel like he has a good attitude for playing through horror games, where it's like, that's definitely something about like people doing like live plays or like playthrough walkthrough kind of things, where I'm just like, I don't know, like, how do you not get frustrated? You know what I mean? Because that is definitely something where like it seems like a pretty large part of the job description, unless you are somebody who specifically does like let's plays where you are mad. That is a good tip, Secret Squirrel, and I honestly should probably take that advice sooner rather than later. He did do the Silent Hill remake, which I still have not watched anybody play. I feel like it's still too popular. Hey Corey, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I watched like some boundary break things about the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I feel like even that was like kind of scratched my itch. I don't know what it is about me being like so like I don't know, not more like gung-ho to just like watch a playthrough, but so I was saying that I'm only gonna be streaming till 7, so depending on time, I might do a little bit of work on like commission or something like that, but I wanted to draw a fan art thing as a kind of warm-up, and we'll see how much of a warm-up versus entire session it is. But this is a character from the game Mouthwashing. Yeah, which is a horror indie game that came out pretty recently and has been getting a lot of like, I feel, well, has been getting a lot of like let's plays and stuff on YouTube, and it was recommended to me, and now I have watched a playthrough and I liked it. So but yes, I'm currently doing this character. Her name is Anya, and like everybody else in this story, she is not having a good time. Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that last time, Squirrel, that you were practicing doing some eye drawings. I don't know, I find that eyes are one of those things that is like very fun, but also can be very frustrating to draw sometimes, because it's like, you know, obviously I have drawn a lot of eyes over the years, that you would think that like I would just be able to do it like no thought, like first try. And if watching me draw is any testament to anything, it is that very rarely can I do anything on the first time. But I do love doing a kind of like half-lidded expression though. I think it can be a mood. TM. I wish today was a holiday. Yeah. Oh. What is, oh, right. Wow, what day is it? I do know what day it is. It is Remembrance Day in Canada, for any of you non-Canadians. Yeah, that is kind of weird that we don't have it as a, like, actual civic holiday up here. And by up here, I mean in Ontario, because clearly my directional descriptions are good. Yeah. Hell yeah. Maybe I don't want to do that yet. Okay. Does she have buttons? She does. I watched another one of this YouTuber's. Just casually the sound of a cat hacking in the background somewhere. Not at all disconcerting. Another like indie playthrough yesterday. That's for a game called. I think it was called like Insanity or something like that. Which I don't feel like the coolest title. Slash, I feel like it maybe undersold the game a little bit. But I thought it was really interesting. And CJ, you seem to also like it, where you're basically like a kind of young adult guy who goes to stay at this like big hotel, and he has, oh my god, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like I was gonna say agnosia, but I don't know if that's the right thing. Where basically he like doesn't, he isn't able to see faces and stuff like that. So all of the character models have like a kind of like mosaic kind of like blurred out effect on them. And while he's at the hotel by himself, the end of the world happens, and then it's him and just like a few other survivors who haven't been turned into like monsters left in the hotel. And yeah, it was fun. I liked it. As I said, I like watching these videos where it's just kind of like you can watch it in like a few hours, and honestly I find that I get a higher rate of like enjoyment off of like things that I'm not sure if I'll like them or not from watching like game playthroughs than like necessarily watching like a actual horror movie. And I mean, to be fair, if a playthrough is like 3 hours long, it is like a long movie length, right? But as long as it's like 3 hours of like pretty narrative driven like gameplay, then I don't mind putting in the time. But I just thought that the hotel game had a cool, like it had some cool monster designs and stuff in it. And I don't know, it definitely had some like scary slash like gruesome moments in it, I guess. But for the most part, it was one of those things where kind of similar to my impression of watching a playthrough of Mouthwash, of just kind of being like, you know, there is like creepy or like disturbing stuff going on, but kind of more than that, I'm just really interested in like the mystery of what's going on and being like, what's happening? Why is everybody doing these things? what that protag doing. I did have a pretty good movie night the other evening though, because oh my god, I feel like I watched like 3 movies and I'm trying to remember what they all were now. But I know one of them was alright, Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, and I don't know that I have actually like watched it before, like I know what it is, but I was just like, you know what? I'm in that sort of mood. Let's watch this. And I can understand why people didn't really like Book of Shadows when it first came out. Like if you're kind of like, it is an interesting direction to go for a sequel to a movie like The Blair Witch, because if you're not familiar with this sequel, whereas The Blair Witch was like a really you know, obviously culturally like significant found footage movie when it came out, for a genre that was still pretty like in its infancy, if existing really at all. Book of Shadows is much more of like a movie, and so I can appreciate that if you were like enjoyed the found footage aspect of Blair Witch, like understandably so, that you might be a little bit peeved for the second one to like take such a departure. But I don't know, I really like horror movies I find from that era because they are very nostalgic to me, even if I didn't watch them, just like the time capsule of when they were made. And oh god, Fourth Kind. I was really disappointed by The Fourth Kind because it was a movie that I remember one of my friends, like it was a movie that she said was like scared her so much and all this stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, that's a pretty like emotional response to this movie that I have not seen. And so I ended up watching it like years later, expecting it to be like really intense. And it was not the scariest movie I'd ever seen. I was mostly like bored slash just like annoyed by it. It does have one good scene in it. Yeah, it has like, I would say the one good scene from it that I'm not sure why they didn't like expand on like this style of like the storytelling. But like the one where it's like the actual like found footage element of it, that's like, you know, also not actually found footage. Yeah, that's the blooper game, right, Dennis? The Blair Witch game? How about Dennis? But yeah, no. I mostly find Fourth Kind confusing, just in like why they made it the way that they did. When, like I said, I feel like there is arguably an actually like disconcerting, like creepy scene in it, which is like the actual like found footage in it. With like there's like a lady and she's like been affected by them and she makes a creepy face, and you know, so that then it's like all the more jarring to go back to being like Mila Jovovich. To experience in the genre. I'm also not sure if I'm just somebody who's like not as freaked out at the idea of like aliens as like a concept slash like antagonist in these stories as like other horror genres. Because I don't want to say that I've like never been freaked out by like a movie about aliens, you know, but Because obviously, one of my all-time favorites, The Thing, is technically about an alien. There's a VR. Yeah. No, I'm just like, I don't know what it is about it. Um, Maybe just that on a sort of philosophical level, I don't like the idea of like extraterrestrials as this being like boogeymen or like basically like, you know, like ghouls or demons or ghosts or whatever, because I find that so boring versus like being these very like beyond our understanding things that maybe don't even like, and that's probably why I like The Thing. I liked Color Out of Space. There was a few, like there's one episode that I'm thinking that I think was from Love, Death, and Robots. I think it was from one of the anthology shows, but it was like the animated ones. I'm pretty sure it was that one. But there's one episode where I guess like, I don't know, spoilery. There's like a guy who thinks that he is on like a ship with like this like lady that he has like a weird relationship with and stuff like that. And basically this sort of like, spoiler alert, the twist of the episode is that he's basically like been having extraterrestrial relations with this big, very, very non-humanoid alien that basically like projects whatever sort of like dream into his mind. And so he just keeps reliving this loop over and over again because it's like the dream that the alien he's given the business to is. So I'm like, I feel like that sort of thing. Like that story definitely, I was like, and not just because of like alien boning, but and also like because he wasn't like aware he was doing it. That whole thing of like, I feel like stories where they're just like, you know, this isn't real. You have no idea that it's not real, but this isn't real, or like, you know, how do you parse out reality from non-reality when you know that it's not real? You know what I mean? Like, I think that that was more a million light year high club. Yeah, because I know like a lot of people also will say like that like signs really scared them and stuff like that. And for some of it, it's kind of like, you know, because I was decently young still. Like I might have been like 10 when it came out, maybe. I'm not acknowledging that, Nico. um, uh, um, yes. I mean, I was gonna say that I'm like, I find that M. Night Shyamalan movies usually don't freak me out in general, but just more to the point of that Signs was not specifically all that scary to me. And I didn't really understand why like even like grown-ups seeing it when it came out were like really, really freaked out by it. And like, oh my god, scariest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I was gonna say that one. And I realized that where we are now, we have had many more, you know, scenes than that we have watched in horror media. Um, Trapper's Terrible. It seemed like a movie. um, yeah, that definitely the jump scare of the like alien walking in front of like the alleyway and somebody having it on camera, and then he's like, and everyone's like, scariest moment, top 5 scariest moments in horror movies ever. I think Shyamalan's mind is a very intriguing, weird place, but kind of in a boring way, if that makes any sense at all. Because you're just kind of like, how did you arrive at this? There's also that. I feel like people of our age who grew up with Robot Chicken can't think of M. Night Shyamalan without thinking of the Robot Chicken short. What a twist. He did do Old, which I will say had a few, like, moments in it that I think, well, Fire, did you know it's actually based off of a French graphic novel? Thank you, Big Smith. So if you did find Old, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, interesting, it is based on a graphic novel. I mean, can you blame him? If I got to make as many movies as he did and I could write it, direct it, have a cameo role in it, I can't with full confidence say that I wouldn't abuse that power. Yes, that I will agree on. Yes, I was gonna say his daughter is in Trap, and I feel like that movie was kind of like, it was a movie, but also kind of a vehicle to be like, wow, look at my daughter. Isn't she a fabulous glamour singer? Lady in the Water. Oh, yes. I did. That was one that actually, before I watched it, I was like, come on, guys, this sounds like promising at least. Like, it's kind of a interesting. Oh my god. They Returned of the King did. Yeah, I have a general awareness of what happens in Trap, but disclaimer, I did watch like a Foundflix episode about it or something, so I did not experience it myself to form my own opinion. Go back to this. Oh, sorry. Main character. I just had to process. So Trap is about Josh Hartnett taking his daughter to see M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, the Taylor Swift in universe, and little does he know that it is actually a trap to catch this serial killer, and also he is the serial killer. It's about trap music. So I would say that that is like kind of spoilery, but I feel like that was like in the trailers and stuff like that. So you're supposed to be like, wow, if that's not the twist, then what is the twist? Yeah, I like Foundflix a lot. And I will say that to my credit, same. I also watch a YouTuber named Ryan Hollinger, who is a good Irish lad who also does like horror movie reviews. Where if they sell it to me in the first like little bit, I have stopped videos of theirs and gone and like watched the actual movie before watching it. And sometimes it's taken me a very long time to come back to actually watching their review because it takes me X amount of time to watch the movie. But I didn't see Abigail, but I know what it is about. It was one that actually, after I watched possibly a Filmflix episode on it, that I was like, maybe I would go and watch it. One that I watched a review of and then actually did go back and watch it. Because obviously part of the thing is that, like, you know, if you know the twist in a horror movie especially, that can kind of be like, you know, hey Wheeljack. Like, sometimes just kind of knowing what the full, like, setup and punchline of a horror concept can make you be like, well, now I do not actually need to watch it. But I watched a thing on Late Night with the Devil, and actually, which is one that I would say is probably better if you don't know everything that's going to happen in it. But I was still intrigued enough to actually go and put it on and watch it, and I really liked it. So here's my my recommendation to go watch Late Night with the Devil if you haven't seen it. Yeah, Wheeljack, was it you who was asking if I played it? I was because when I started drawing, I didn't tell everyone what it was. I wanted them to guess, and eventually Fyra got it. I couldn't 100% remember who it was, but I thought it was maybe you. The final creature in Late Night with the Devil? And yes, well, I watched a playthrough of it and some other just like lore videos on it, Wheeljack, so I actually really enjoyed it. So thank you for encouraging me to check it out. Gosh, Big Smith. I mean, I can tell you why it's called mouthwash if you want. I feel like it's kind of spoilery, but also not really, because pretty early in the game they incorporate it. Spoiler history. It's not. It's called like Dragon Breath or something like that. Yeah, I watched a playthrough on it and I enjoyed it. I actually have a comment pinned at the top of this chat of the YouTuber that I watched the playthrough of, because I figure it is good to promote other people that I follow, especially if it gets me into like a game or something. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if I am familiar with that one either. Had a membrane keyboard? I don't know what that means either. It's when you just plug it right into the soft tissue of your brain. Keyboard is a keyboard that doesn't have its own. Interesting. Going off of your comment, I assume it was not super practical, but Good. I am glad. And if me choosing unprompted to draw fan art of it isn't not enough of an endorsement of me enjoying it, then I think it is worth watching. Or playing, sorry, if you're not a weenie like me. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I said, that it was like a deliberate thing. So on one hand being like, yeah, I think she's a cool design. You know, the game can't take like full credit for that, but I still think that they implemented it in a cool way. This also I meant to add some more tags. Hold on. I see it now. It is true, everything is derivative, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still want to make things and share things with other people. Also, to be fair, some things are more derivative than others. Because if you don't, some AI douchebags will, so, you know. Oh, I kind of saw it pop up, but y'all were really chatting before I joined, so I didn't actually go back and like scroll through everything. But yes, I have been interested in that movie. I am assuming that you saw it and liked it. Well, now I don't even need to watch it. There are uses and applications of artificial intelligence that are more logical, but then the things where they are using it to not have to pay human workers and like especially like creators is like, I mean, I realize I'm obviously like preaching to the choir here, but it's just that sort of frustrating thing of being like, you know, the larger powers that be and like studios and like all that stuff that will use AI instead of like hiring artists is like they don't care about this, but it's that sort of thing of like, you know, you're going to hit a point where everything is an echo chamber and there is nothing else for this non-human brain to like absorb and break down into bits. You know what I mean? Not that that's not already kind of like a reality with like a lot of just like my opinion on like a lot of remakes and like nostalgia kind of bait stuff being made is like I don't think that the existence or the desire to create that sort of thing is inherently bad. It is more when that is the vast majority of creative things being put into like popular culture and stuff like that is like you do reach a saturation point where you're just like, okay, well, this generation is not nostalgic for anything because we didn't have anything that was like You know, they didn't grow up with anything that was unique to them as a generation. Sorry. It's true though. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just like approaching everything with the sort of thing of being like that, like get rich without having to like cultivate a skill or whatever. You know, obviously I don't love. Like to me, this is not really different from the NFT bros, you know? It's more people just looking to be like, who can we exploit uh, in this industry to make money off of not doing anything. So what images? What, not that one. I am not so confident as to what her crests are, so we are just gonna kind of pretend that I am confident. Okay, so I think one is for being a nurse, and the other one is company logo, maybe? Okay, I know that this is like the medical symbol, so just pretend that I know how to draw it off the top of my head. I mean, for what it's worth, in a way, like, The Shining, spoiler alert for The Shining, I guess, like, there is kind of a happy ending for Danny and Wendy, just considering the sort of person that Jack was in the story. And, like, you know, obviously it's supposed to be like the being at the Outlook at the hotel brings out his like demons and like his darker side, but also that, like, you know, he has not been a nice person anyways. This is just a worse version of him. So No worries, Jack. Hopefully, some more progress will have been made in that time. It has been saved. I mean, extremely relatable. Yes, generally, I feel like it is a pretty easy way to draw and convey to somebody looking at a character that they are not doing so good. Thank you, Dennis. I do like drawing hair, it is true. If nothing else, let these live draws be a testament to how much I don't know what I'm doing at any given time. If that is any level of reassuring. It's that mood of, I'll get there eventually, I just have to panic a bit first. Panic and flail around for a while. And this is definitely one of those characters though where I'm like, I do feel bad for her. She's very much like a person who is collateral in everything that happens, and you kind of get the impression that it's like, you know, not that unusual in her overall life for her to have terrible luck like that, but still. Right now, washing. Yeah. Looking very clever while I did that, but it's fine. Yeah. Big Smith is back. I'm confused. Okay. I can think of a few different reasons to not want to go to space, but yes. Oh my god, everybody's back. Welcome back, Wheeljack. True. They had a secret meeting to gossip about us, everybody else on the stream, about this drawing, about how good the game is. Also, for what it's worth, I feel like I've got this done pretty fast. Like, I realize it's not like the most complicated drawing, but still. Other than drawing her left jaw 9 times. Yes, I did, Big Smith. So powerful. Wheel deck? Yes. I am actually planning on streaming both Patreon fan arts. But I also appreciate that with the pinup one, I will just have to be aware, you know, of being like how much I am doing on stream and how much I am showing. So that's right, we learned that lesson. Because like I can draw those sorts of things like on stream just so long as like, you know, the actual like graphic nudity is kept to somewhat of a minimum. So admittedly, I am not sure how they feel about like bums and stuff like that, like if that is like explicit nudity or not. Because I was gonna say, I feel like for the most part, my pinups are like generally not really graphic, but you know, I also didn't think the neck was gonna be a big deal, so clearly I have knowledge of only some things. So I mean, I can tell you, I'm just thinking about if me explaining it might be spoiler territory. Possibly. Although I did say earlier on that there was a fetus in this drawing, if that is any indication. So yes, it is a fetus of some persuasion. Also, hello, Lucho. I'm not sure if you've been hanging out all ninja-like or if you're just tuning in now, but hello. Ghost Baby Iguana is the obvious first choice. Okay, bye, Big Smith. Yeah. I said she feels like it doesn't seem like this is the first very bad thing to happen to her. But also that, like, you know, she very much feels like collateral in all of it. But so are quite a few characters, so like poor Taisuke. Yeah, no worries. Puppy girl. Yeah. Y'all know I just love doing a little oopty spooky. I guess your mileage may vary of if you think that this is quotation mark spooky, but still. I'm not sure if this is getting too graphic, but Farah, I know you joke, but at the same time, some people. I made it look very unintentionally gore. Right. I don't know if I can add that without it looking like it's unintentionally very cute. Oh, kijk my neck. Needs a... It is true. He's probably a little bit chilly. That looks fleshy. I say in a normal and not weird voice. I actually have a very Jen answer to that, Lucho. Once Fire answers. I just didn't want to interrupt Fire if he did have an answer ready to shoot off the cuff. Yeah, so I cannot speak to current curriculums, but when I was in high school, back in, like I graduated high school in 2008? Yes, 2008. I took like a biology science, and we did have a dissection in it. It was pig fetuses. Was what our class was gonna do, and I was already like a vegetarian and stuff at the time, and I just didn't feel cool doing that, especially for like, you know, I was not taking a very serious, like, you know, it was not serious in the way of being like, oh yeah, this is like streaming you into like a university program or anything like that. It was just like a high school program. So I went to the trouble of like finding basically like an online like virtual dissection thing to take, and the teacher let me use that instead, and I was a little bit disappointed because I was kind of like, yeah, now if anybody else doesn't feel comfortable doing it, they can also like opt out, and I was the only one in my class who opted out, so. Yeah, well, and I mean, I had the chance because I specifically like made an effort to look up an alternative thing, and my teacher was a little bit like, but like they let me do it, so you know. I don't know. If nothing else, I feel like it was a thing of like, you know, didn't make a big difference that I didn't actually do it on an actual like dead animal. I don't know, but I will say that something that I was able to avoid at least a little bit was just like you know, as I said, it was not a very serious level class, which is why I was kind of like, is this really necessary? Other than to like say that we have done it. Of just like that the other kids were like shocking, I know, high school kids, but that they were not the most respectful to the remains of this dead thing. And I don't love that. Oh my god, an earthworm. I feel like this is probably rendered enough. Some might argue too much, but here we are. If I make it light enough, I can be like, it's a shrimp. Yeah, no, well, because I was trying to remember when you said that, because I was like, it was like specifically like biology as opposed to like more general science sort of thing. Um, but I don't think it was something like that. Because your school was a bit more like specialized, like tech stuff as well, right? So you were already more gearing towards that sort of like streamlining or pipelining to post-secondary. Oh, okay. Yeah, because part of my logic was just kind of like, you know, I could understand if this was like you were actually in a program where this was like preparing you for like job stuff or like things you would have to do like in your line of work. Um, but it just seemed kind of like an opportunity for kids to like mess around with, uh, you know, like cadaver stuff. I don't know if you can call a non-human, like non-human remains a cadaver, or if it specifically has to be human for that, but because yes, we definitely did not have human cadavers, if that is the meaning of it. Now what do I want to do? Okay. You guys get to see the very fun experience of yes, but again, that's like that's medical school, so that is a little bit more understandable. But yes, now you get to watch me try and pick a gradient map to put over this, and I will play with a million different settings for it, so it's great fun. Brampton has a lot of schools. Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is a part of my process that sometimes takes a long time. So, I'm sure it is very exciting for you to join me for it. It's like the vibe. As I said, I'm currently clicking through my various gradient maps to try and find something that, because I realize you can't see my little box doing that, but this is a part where I very often can get like decision paralysis, and that it's like, I did it to myself. Nobody made me do this. I still want to have some darker. Yeah, this one actually went along pretty fast, Corey, which I'm always shocked by, so, you know, I'll take the W. Oh, that's awesome! Did you feel like when you handed it in, you were a little bit more like, yeah, this is cool? Just because I know that you were like considering like options and stuff for it, or like just feeling like it wasn't quite where you wanted it to be. Oh my god. Did you get like docked points for that or whatever, or did it not matter? That sort of stuff is somewhat annoying to me because it's just, oh, I think I was saying last time that I was like, oh, okay, good. Just because that would be the sort of thing that sometimes people will be like, well, the requirements were this, and you technically didn't follow those guidelines, so you're getting docked points, or like, you know, as opposed to being like, this was needed for the story being told, you know, within reason. Okay. Do you know what we need now? Another gradient map. So what I have, well, sorry, I tend to do, kind of like, you know, you do like a multiply layer for shadow effects. Yes. Although, for what it's worth, it's not a human fetus, which is kind of important to the plot, but I realize it's that sort of thing of like, I kind of inadvertently placed it in such a way that it is kind of hard to see the actual shape of the animal, so. But yes, so like, I'm using one of the gradient maps as like an overlay layer, so that's just kind of like making it a little bit more unified color scheme a little bit. Well, when we're in our larval phases, it is a little bit funny looking. I would agree with that. Sorry, just thinking, because for shadow, I don't know. Yes, that was the initial guess, understandably so. To feel this one as much as I hoped. Hello, Big Smith. Yeah, because I kind of want there to be like a split between like there being a little bit of like highlighted zones, but also the vibe of the like game is that there's a lot of very like low red light and stuff in it that I am kind of wanting to replicate. So I'm not sure. So just thinking. Could do something like this. Do some backlight. I mostly watch people play games. I actually pinned a comment at the top with the video that I watched for this game, for mouthwashing, sorry. So yeah, part of it is just like, I realize that this is kind of like a get good issue, but I find that it just takes me very long to get through stuff because it's not like intuitive to me. And for a lot of these games, I am more interested in like the story mechanics and stuff of it. So I don't mind watching somebody else play them. Yeah, well, and like I said a bit earlier in stream, just that I find that overall I have more like just like generally generally enjoyable like viewing experiences of like horror game playthroughs than I do of like just random horror movies, whatever sense that makes. So it's like if I'm willing to put in like X amount of hours to watch a playthrough, it's basically like watching a movie, unless it's a really like gameplay heavy sort of game as opposed to like a kind of mystery thriller story driven. Aiming guns is hard. Also, who needs a gun when you have a perfectly good wrench? Yeah, well, like, I haven't played, like, the newer Resident Evil games or whatever, but I have watched, like, an 8 hour long playthrough of, like, each of them. So I feel like I have, experienced the sort of, like, characters and lore parts of it, which is a large part of the interest for me. Like, I really enjoyed the story of Resident Evil Village. Doing research, there you go. It can also be a cost thing, to be fair, because, like, you know, obviously for, like, more, like, indie horror games, not so much. They're probably not going to be breaking the bank to, like, get a copy for yourself. But, like, you know, the Silent Hill remake is a $90 game, which is, like, I am hard pressed to spend, and not saying that in a I pirated way, more so just like most of the times the games that I like choose to play are Like, I have to motivate myself to spend $30 on a game. So, I like your. I think I heard about that, Lucha. Yeah, and I mean, for me, I've always kind of been a situation where it's like I'm much more interested in like the lore and the story of a lot of these games because like if a story doesn't interest me that, or if a game doesn't interest me that way, I'm not really somebody who's like, you know, I am hard pressed to think of a game that I have played that I'm like, yeah, just like the gameplay mechanics are really good. I don't care about anything else. Like, and I'm not saying that that's like a bad thing to enjoy or anything like that, just for my own preference. Also dark. Oh. I feel like that is a game that is very like your mileage may vary with it. Detroit Becoming Human, that is. Yeah. No, it's true. Hell yeah. Sorry. Oh, I don't know. That's kind of cool too. It's hard to decide. Honestly, Stanley Parable stressed me out. I feel like I played it through like a few endings, but and I know that there's like nothing like it's not a scary game. It's a very atmospheric game, but there's just something about it that I'm like, I don't know. Madness. Also, I am somebody who, even in like a video game, the whole thing of the narrator being like, "Do this. You're not doing this," is very stressful to me because I'm just like, well, I'll just do the thing. I'm here to like play a game, so I might as well do it on the game's terms. Yeah, that was. I just turned off the gradients for a minute to get a color swatch, and then I'm gonna put it back on. But yes, I agree. That you want the fetus to pop. Color-wise. Hey, Jack. How's it going, buddy? No, it's stressful. It's too stressful. Some might even say. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there's like a whole friggin' bunch of different things to do in that game. Like, my impression of it is that there's still stuff being found. Hey Jack, you hear this with some tasty shrimp? Tasty big shrimp. Jackie boy. Alright, alright. I do agree that the hat looks rather like Wirt's hat from Over the Garden Wall. Okay, now I want to do... I mean, somebody already said that it looked like she's wearing Wirt's hat. But yes, I am definitely a Over the Garden Wall enjoyer. Okay, it's fine. We're doing multiply. It's good. Okay, so now to do the part that Twitch might not like. Although, it didn't mind me putting blood on the tarot drawing, so I assume it's fine. I have a pretty good reference photo that I'm not showing you guys. I suspect that Googling horse fetuses is one of those things that Google's like... Yeah, as I said, I did pick reference images at a stage in fetal development where it actually does look slightly more like a horse, but I kind of accidentally put it behind her in such a way that you can't actually see it, so... It's a little bit of a running joke with like artists and writers, that sort of thing of like, surely some of the things that we Google for like reference or like more information are things that whatever FBI agent is supervising us is just like, what the fuck? Also, I'm so Corey. I'm not going to make any fetus jokes. Guys, I watched a video about like, oh my god, what was it called? I'm not gonna show it to you, just to give you a reference for kind of like a headspace. I watched a video before the stream about the Byford dolphin incident. So, the horse fetuses is like proportionally lower on the gross out scale than seeing an autopsy report, so. I suppose I can generally say what it is so that you guys don't Google it not knowing what it is. It was a workplace accident that happened back in the 80s on an offshore rig where some divers were coming up and the depressurization chamber was not fully sealed before the other one was unsealed, and well, the title of the video I watched was "How do you fit a person through a 5-inch hole?" So, yes. Yeah. I find that sort of thing both very interesting and very, I don't know, I guess in a way I'm like not fun about these sorts of things. This is kind of like me going on like I went on a haunted walk like last fall, I feel like, or like early this year. Well, don't Google stuff. Oh my God, Big Smith, what did I just say? Don't Google it. I did not do anything. And as much as like they were trying to like tell these stories of being like, because I went to, there is a jail in Ottawa that has been kind of repurposed into a hostel. But they still have one floor that it like hasn't been renovated, I guess. And the whole thing is that it's like, oh, it's a very haunted location and all this stuff. And I do like ghost stories, but you know, obviously I'm taking them with like a grain of salt. And to me, as we are going through and hearing all these stories about like, you know, this prisoner, this, and like this ghostly thing, or like, and the kind of like the thing that stood out to me the most was just the mistreatment of the system that was processing these people and holding these people and the conditions that they were in, and just like, you know, that not to say that there's no bad people in prison, but a lot of the time there's poor people in prison, or you know what I mean, that not everybody is equal for why they are in jail. And so hearing the conditions for like all of these like inmates and stuff like that, I was just like, wow, like I am having a hard time being like, oh, ghostly, when I'm just like, that's really that's really fucked up. That's an awful way to have to like live decades of your life, if not like the rest of your life, for some of these people when they did not really do like crimes that were fitting of that sort of like consequence. So I feel similarly hearing stories about like that well, sorry, brain, the yeah, the Byford dolphin incident. I keep remembering the dolphin part and not the other part. Is like as horrifying as the physical things that happened to the divers when that chamber depressurized. Is like, you know, they didn't feel it. They didn't like, you know, they did not even know that they no longer existed because it was so instantaneous, the process that happened to their bodies. But just the thing of like, you know, shocking twist that part, like basically the large factors for why the incident happened in the first place was one, the workers were being way overworked. They were like having to do too many hours, not enough like downtime. So the people like who were supposed to be closing the like exterior hatch made a mistake because they weren't operating at like full capacity because they were so tired. And on the other hand, there was already a readily available and in use in the industry like safety catch that they were supposed to have on the like chambers, and the company that they were working for didn't install it. So it's like, you know, yes, the morbid fascination with like what happened to the men and how they died is one thing, but the part that like really stands out to me as being like, that's so awful, that is so horrible, is like that part of the story of being like that this happened to these workers And like it was preventable. It was a thing that people higher up in the company, making a lot of money off of them, decided that they didn't want to spring for like something that actually was not even like an expensive thing to have on the chambers. Like that's the part that to me I'm like, that's the scary part. You know, it's not the ghosts. It's not being horribly mutilated on a work site. It's the fact that like these are things that happen because people make decisions and because people don't care about the people who they consider to be expendable. You know. Right, Jack? I know. I know. Western society is a plague. So, Corey, your question about is it as bad in Canada? So, I will say that I feel like it is not, just because obviously there is a very large, like, systemic target on non-white communities in the States that I feel like is true here, but it's like not like the degree that happens in the States is like sorry, I'll hold on. Every time. Not anymore, Smith. Now that you're part of the upper crust who subscribes, who pays money to watch me. Which is pretty whack, actually. For what it's worth, Corey, generally, if I am like talking to somebody directly and an ad break pops up that I know they are having to watch, I will pause because I feel like that's kind of shitty. But yeah, no. So I will say that compared to the institution of the penal system in the States, Canada is not as bad as that, but we're kind of talking about this in some of the other streams where I'm just like, I don't feel like being like, we are not as bad as this other place necessarily absolves us of being like, but these systems could be more just. These systems could be more fair. You know what I mean? Because I would say that a large issue like up here is still the amount of power that citizens are able to have, both legally and like in a financial way. Versus like larger entities like corporations and stuff like that. I mean, I would argue that most places, the prison industry is a problem. But that could be a much larger topic. But I mean, in all fairness, down in the States, I'm sure things are going to be a lot easier for people who have been convicted of crimes or felonies or the like, you know? For some people, maybe. Speaking of who, yeah. Of them and just like, you know, it's that whole sort of thing of being like, well, if this person gets to have a seat of power, who, you know, for people in like most of society cannot go and get a job now because they have like a record. That doesn't really balance out, you know? That it's like one but not the other. Not quite the same, but I felt kind of similarly of like in Canada back when we were legalizing weed. That, you know, the thing of being like, oh yeah, there's like a whole bunch of like, you know, cannabis shops and like all that stuff popping up, which I don't have a issue with specifically, but more so the issue of being like, well, for the people who are serving time in prison or like other like long-term consequences for doing this stuff, you know, are they going to get pardoned now that it's not like, and I know that that's not necessarily how it works for being like, well, when you did it, it was illegal, but it's like, okay, but especially when it comes to something like weed as like an item of commerce, a lot of the people, once it was legalized, who were opening shops and stuff like that were white people compared to the disproportionate amount of non-white people, specifically like black people, who were serving time for doing this thing that now people were writing like cutesy little like articles about, like, oh, cute little weed shop, you know what I mean? I guess some of the anxiety as somebody who is not American but lives pretty close to like America is always that thing of like just seeing like trends following things that happen politically and like economically in the States. Because in Canada, I would say that the kind of scary thing right now is the amount of right-leaning politics that has traction. So, like, that's the sort of thing that freaks me out. And I know that I'm like, there's only so much that I can do. And it's, I mean, it's scary from the point of view because to me, I feel like it is like kind of, I mean, it's like, it feels like you're moving backwards as a society. And feeling that way and seeing it happen, but being like, you know, there is not very much I can do, is like, I think that that is a scary world to be in. And I definitely feel for like the younger people who are growing up in it, and it is like the formative version of the world that they get to live in. I think that that sucks. At least when I was in high school, as you know, pessimistic as I maybe was, I feel like that was a time when there was still kind of like some feeling of hope of being like, we can make things better. We can like affect change, you know, all this stuff, where it was like nowadays it feels a lot harder to tell yourself that. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of my sort of like energy for that sort of thing, the like wanting to save the world kind of energy, has kind of transmuted into being like, you know, where can I affect change and like actually make a difference in like people's lives and make them better and stuff like that, even if I can't change things on a large scale. Yeah. Yeah, it is true. And you could be like me and live in Canada, but have a lot of American clients. So you get paid in USD. I mean, I do, but hell yeah. Yeah, that is true, Lucha. I know. And I also don't like to be that energy of like, because things might feel hopeless at a given time, or it seems like we are making backwards progress, that it's like things are hopeless. Um, yeah, I understand that, Corey. Um, I realize this is kind of getting into some like heavy territory, but it is legitimately a thing of like, um, I have a few different reasons that I do not have any human children. um, but like, legitimately, it is that sort of consideration of like, I don't feel good to make the choice to make another like person to be in the world when I feel this scared now. You know what I mean? Um, and again, not a judgment on other people. It is a very personal choice, but that was my opinion for a long time. Like even when I was like like back in high school age and stuff like that, that was kind of my opinion. But part of me hoped that we would get to a point in the future where I would be like, I feel like things are getting better. Maybe it would be okay to make that like huge life decision. And I feel like that's sort of the part that really is hard to swallow, of just like that I have not felt that way, since being a grown up. That I've been like, you know what? Yeah, things feel okay. Or like things will be okay. You know what? So, but it also sucks because there's a lot of people who are on that other side of the aisle who are having children and are having lots of babies and stuff like that. So it is kind of hard to be like, what is like the right way to make that decision? I, for the most part, just feel like making a person is a pretty big deal no matter what. But yeah. 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 Well, and like it does make me feel sad sometimes. Because on one hand, there's certain things that I will see of like other people's children behaving certain ways, without really casting judgment on them, because it's like, I know that it is very difficult sometimes to be the adult to a small person. Um, but just like that, I see like certain interactions or behaviors, and I'm like, not my circus. um, and I'm also very much a baby in this economy kind of person. Um, like there's something genuinely amusing to me of people being like, why aren't millennials and the other youngins having babies? And it's like, bro, do you know how much an apartment costs? Do you know how much like monthly expenses cost for like not an entire family right now? Like, baby in this economy? Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not old, but I am 34. I'm a crone. I'm a wizened old lady. No. I still have a few years left in me before that decision is completely made up, but I guess there's still a level of hope. Thanks, Corey. I'm the youngest I'll ever be again. um, yeah, turning 20 in the least patronizing way possible. Yo, wee babe. Yeah. Lol, 202. That's how old I actually am. I'm 202 years old. I don't know. That's something that I feel like I understand that sort of fear, but I feel like that is one of few anxieties that I don't have. Because again, it's like I am both the oldest I've ever been and I'm the youngest that I'm ever going to be again. There's not a time limit on a lot of life experiences, even though we are told that there are. You know, there is not an age for being successful or knowing what you want to do or like, having everything figured out, because the reality is that like for better or worse, nobody does. But I think there's a level of just like gratitude, I guess, in being able to be like, I've had this many years and I'm hopefully gonna have this many more. Because not everybody gets that, you know. There is like a level of like honor and dignity in like getting older and growing old. Yeah, but I understand. I understand that feeling of like, you're at a very transitional point in your life, and you don't have to be turning 20 to be going through a transitional point in your life, but that tends to be a pretty big one as you're growing up. Yeah. I can understand that. I will say, not so much in the way of aging, but kind of like in the way of like, um, that's me too. I'm like, I mean, mostly as a running gag, but that sort of thing of being like, but how's this possible? I myself am but a 17-year-old teen girl who has to pay taxes. Um, bruh. I had a thought and it's gone. It's good. It's fine. Um, yeah. There is definitely something to be said for arrested development, which I feel like is very much more common with like people our age and younger, because we don't have this sort of like what we have been conditioned to believe are like the like life milestones that older generations before us had. Um, and yeah, I agree with that, Nico. Just that sort of feeling of um, telling myself, yeah, telling myself, and also like friends or like loved ones, that sort of thing. I am a baby. I'm a baby. I don't have any money. Um, that thing of like, you feel like you're the final version of yourself, or like you're the most like complete version of yourself that you're gonna be. Um, but just sort of thinking about like there are things and places and people that you're going to love, and they're going to make you so happy in the future that you haven't met yet or you haven't experienced yet. And I think that that can be a really hopeful feeling of just like, there could be like maybe in the future I'm going to be like completely obsessed with like a sport or a musical instrument that I get really good at, and like I have no idea right now. Like I think that that is Mama just hyping you up. Yeah, I feel that. Speaking as somebody who is like 5'8", uh, I feel like I am not physically a little guy, but I'm still a little guy on the inside. little, little tiny baby. Yeah, I've been 5'8" since like middle school, so that was fun. I'm okay with it now. You can wear like big shoes though and be as tall as you want. Because I will say one of the harder things that I've had to accept in life is that I have to really be committed to the bit of if I ever want to have like big goth boots, I have to be committed to being like 6'4", and I don't know if I'm ready for that. Do you guys use the so Lucho, Canada is a little bit weird in how we do our measurement stuff because we do a lot of stuff in metric, but then like when it comes to like describing a person, like weight, we tend to do pounds. And for height, we tend to do like foot inches. So yeah. I think I'm like 172 centimeters or something, but I'm just like, I don't know. That feels so weird describing it like that. And same thing with pounds, that I can kind of be like, well, kilograms versus pounds is kind of like we use Celsius, so yeah, it maybe it's more confusing. I don't know. It's just that thing of you're like used to it. um I will say that I don't really understand 0 being 30 by Fahrenheit math, but it's 32. Sorry. Although I will say that when baking things, we tend to use Fahrenheit. Why? I don't know. Because we do. I was gonna say we do tend to use kilometers per hour. I feel like we also will use like miles per hour sometimes, but kilometers is more what we would use for speed. Salt water. Kind of, not really. So yes, I know I've been sitting with them just sort of floating in the background for a little bit. Honestly, I feel like how we like do measurements and like metric versus imperial makes a lot of sense for just like how we all are culturally as like a European bebe and like neighbors to the US, of just like how we like adopt things and like what carries over for being like more convenient. But yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's logical or makes sense. I'm just saying that's kind of like on brand. That's what I thought. Kilograms. Where? Oh yes, I'm not done yet. I usually go and I put it like, but I could also. Haha, that's what I was saying. I'm a little guy in spirit, okay? I'm a little guy emotionally. Gotta bump up that edge now. I'm the mother of several little guys, so that counts for something. Yes, yes, it does, Big Smith. I mean, Fern's a little guy. Fern's a certified little guy. Because sometimes you can be a little guy and be a girl. Yes. Talking about my fur baby, as opposed to my skin children, which I do not have. In this economy. as much as I find stories about scandalous adult adoptions entertaining, no, I myself am not anyone's a real guardian, legal guardian. Yes. So, it is 7 o'clock, and I am actually surprised that I was able to get this done in like 3 hours. No. I would say that my recommendation would be to go and watch the playthrough of this game, but I realized that that might not be relaxing for everybody. Thank you. Do you think that like yes, for me too. Wow. Do you think that if I like, because I was gonna post it on like my Patreon first, but do you think that it'll be something that's like I'll get in trouble for posting it just like raw on Instagram? Like, I don't know. I don't know if the horse fetus might freak some people out, but yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm bad though of like, because usually what I would do would be like when I was actually uploading drawings regularly, excuse me, to Patreon, I would usually post them there and then have kind of like a stockpile and post all those Patreon drawings on socials like the following month. But I feel like I've kind of gotten into the habit of being like, I will just post them on Patreon and then I will forget about them. So I have not a ton of drawings, but I have like some drawings that I posted on Patreon and just never went anywhere else. So, and now I'm too lazy to go back and organize them and figure out which drawings those are. So, but yes. Yeah, I was thinking that I could do like a you have to swipe to see it, but I don't know. To be fair, I haven't gotten in trouble with like Instagram too much. Although, what did I post? I posted something that was like, I think it was something like, I don't know if you guys know that meme where it's like, so and so, you're like, your drip is too powerful, they'll kill you. I posted like an outfit on like my Instagram story that like referenced that meme, and it gave me like a little prompt being like, are you sure you want to like, you want to share that with that language? And I was like, am I in trouble? So I posted it. And in theory, I could probably edit out the horse. Yes. That's kind of the point. Anyways. It is fine. I will I might err on the side of caution for sharing it on I don't know. It's more funny when you're like, because sometimes you might be like, "Aw, I wonder if I'm gonna get in trouble for this." But then sometimes like something will like get flagged, and you're like not thinking that it was gonna be an issue at all. So you're like, "What the hell? Okay." I thought this was a free country. Or I was gonna say I could like do a filter over it that's like a pixelated kind of thing. Say it with you. Can't say that on Instagram. It'll be like, are you sure you want to have such a language? There are parts of what I presume to be like AI where it is trying very hard to understand human like culture and slang, and it's just like, excuse me, that's a bad word. And you're like, shut the hell up, AI. Oh, I feel that, Corey. And also, for what it's worth, I'm really glad that you got a good response on your story. So, oh, that is dangerous suggestion, but that would also be my suggestion, Nico. I mean, Bugs knows what he's doing. Oh man, okay. Dennis, I suspect that somebody squealed on me. That's what I think. Like somebody just passing through. That was like, oh, female presenting nipple. Not on my good Christian Twitch. Yeah, that's awesome, Corey. Ride that high as long as you can because it's so good. And I think you you earned it. So yes, I will bid thee adieu. I'm going to go see a music thing tonight, so I just want to make sure that I'm ready to go and not make anybody late. So yes, have a good night. Stay as hopeful as you can, and yeah, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Goodbye.